Hey guys, Mrs. Lackaboo here again today. We are finally going to do our frog dissection. We're in high school biology and it is the one that we all remember. I remember my frog back in my days, so hope you'll have a memorable experience here too. So, like last week, I need you to pull out your lab kit, your fancy lab kit bag, and I want you guys to find the second tray that I gave you, your second set of gloves. Hopefully you found your scissors and your frog. If you notice, your frog is actually bigger than what your fish looked like last time, so this should be pretty cool and interesting. So before we get there, you also will need, I'm going to show you this picture if you want to take a screenshot. This is the directions that we're going to use today to get us started, because if you notice in your book on page 422, the directions are not there. But we are studying the frog in your book, so I hope you've been reading that. Remember, we're studying the phylum of Chordata, which is in the subphylum of Vertebrata, and this is the class of Amphibia. And obviously frogs, you probably have known that for a long time, so that's an easy one to remember. The page is 422 and the information is there, but I'm going to kind of verbalize, so just walk through this with me, and as needed, just pause, okay? Don't forget safety. If you have long hair, can you guys like put it back so it's not falling in your face? We are going to put our gloves on after that. We're going to work through all of it before we do anything next. Okay, so go ahead, guys, put your gloves on. I'm going to do mine real quick, and you can go ahead and get your frog out of the bag. Put it on your dissecting tray. And we're going to notice and take some time on the external features again, okay? We're going to make some observations. Now, you'll be happy to know I'm not expecting you or requiring you to do a lab report, but if you would like to write down some things that you're noticing, feel free to. I'd love to see it. So we're going to need some scissors today. You may want your tweezers again if you have them. If you don't have like a pointer proby thing, then you can use like a pencil if you want. It's totally optional, just tools. Your hands work great. So first of all, I want you guys to look at your frog. He's kind of cute. I don't know about you, but I like frogs. This one, what do you notice about its features? Do you notice coloring differences for the top or the dorsal side versus the ventral side? Why do you guys think the coloring is different? Okay, I would love to hear what you have to say. We'll talk about that. Now, there's lots of different kinds of frogs in the world, all different kinds of sizes. I'll tell you in class kind of the extreme differences that we can see. But this is our little cute frog. He obviously has spots on his back, and I want you guys to notice a few things. Obviously, he's got two arm appendages and two very strong legs. So why do you guys think his legs are so muscular and so long? Yes, better to swim with, right? You'll notice that their feet are webbed, right? Better to swim with. Okay, notice your webbed feet. Go ahead and check it out. I want you guys to notice, are they webbed up here? Are the upper appendages webbed? I don't see any webs, do you? Now, what's interesting on the thumb pads of your frog is one way, it's not always easy to determine, it's one way to determine if you have a boy or a girl, or a male or a female. And what they say is if you were to, I don't know if you can see it, look at, let's see, the thumb, and I want you guys to see how this thumb pad on mine is really swollen. And interesting enough, the swollen thumb pad, if you notice it, could mean that you have a male frog. Now, I know you don't have frogs to compare it to know, is mine swollen enough? And sometimes it's hard to determine. But if this is real skinny and similar to the other fingers, I'm going to call it, then you would have a female. So see if you can determine, do you think from this, can you have a male or a female frog? But you can see on both of those thumb pads, here's the other one, how big it is compared to those. So I think I have a male frog, okay? Now, go ahead and you can write that observation if you're writing them down. Now look at the head. I want you guys to see there's a lot of cool features here you may have just skimmed over. So the first thing, obviously there's eyes, 2 eyes on your frog. And if you're able, you can kind of try to open them up and see them. But your frog actually has 3 lids, all right? So I guess one's for goggles for swimming and one's for protection. So it's kind of cool. They have this nictitating membrane that actually can cover the eyes. So they've got 3 lids. That's kind of cool. And if you want to play around with that and mess with that and get into the eye, you're welcome to do that, okay? If you notice too, there's this little flat spot right here, and that's called the tympanum. So what do you guys think a tympanum would be? Let's take a look where it is on the head. Have you ever heard of a tympanic membrane? You have one actually in your ear, your eardrum. So this is not exactly like our ear, but it is a vibration thing that the frog has to help it sense. So it has lots of ways to sense the environment. So these are on both sides and 2 eyes, all right? And you'll notice here, there's this 2 nares, okay? It's like nostrils. All right, there's 2 here. So those are some cool features here. Now, before we go inside the frog, I want you guys to realize that its skin is actually its best way of breathing. So a frog actually breathes through its skin, a lot like the earthworm when we talked about it. It has some other ways to breathe, but that is a pretty cool feature. I think about 80–90% of its oxygen intake is actually through its skin. So that's why that's important, all right? Now, what I want you guys to do while we're in this view, go ahead and see if you can open your frog's mouth. Now, you can use your hands, and you can go, ah, can you see it? All right, there's a couple things I want you guys to notice. First, I want you to look in the roof of the mouth, okay? If you notice up here, there, I don't know if you can see it, there's 2 little, they call those maxillary teeth up here, these little spots. And if the diagram, if you have, will show it to you. And then if you notice these 2 little spots here, can you see that? Those are called the vulvarine teeth. All right, so that's there and then there. So those are kind of cool features. One thing that I do want to remember, I talked about the tongue last week and the fish. Where is the tongue attached? Where is the tongue attached on your frog? So let's see. I'm going to go in here. This one, if you notice, is attached in the front. Different from the fish. The fish is like us. Our tongue is attached in the back of our mouth. So you can see on a frog, let me see if I can close his mouth this way. Can you see that? Do you see the shape of the end of his tongue? It kind of reminds me of a snake where it has this double point on the end. So think about how a frog eats, right? Their tongue is going to fly out to catch the fly and then come back. So their tongue is attached at the front of their mouth and not the back. So you can kind of manipulate that. If you want to cut the tongue out, you may. You can go ahead and open that mouth wider and take a look, or just put your little tongue back where it goes and close him right back up. All right, so good job on that. All right, are you guys ready to make some cuts? All right, so go ahead and lay your frog dorsal side down, ventral side up, and get your scissors ready, and then we're gonna start our cuts. Okay, so everybody's got their frog in position. You've got dorsal side down. Now you might notice that your frog already has a cut. That's okay. Where I purchased these, they've actually injected your frog with some dye so that hopefully we'll see some difference in color. So you might have also noticed, like mine has a little slit here. I think that's where they injected the dye on this side. You'll see the pink. That's going to help us see where blood flow was. And then on this side. So if it's already cut, that's just helping you out a little bit. But what I want you guys to do, this is real thin skin, so it's easy to cut. Just take a hold of it. If it is still attached, you're just going to find a little spot to get the point of your scissors in. And we're just going to cut up on this thin top layer, all right? And cut all the way. Remember, don't go deep, and you'll notice there's a muscle layer underneath, so it's not too hard. You won't hurt anything at this point. And if I were you, just cut this flap off so we get it out of your way. Now, because the dye is injected, you may notice, oh, I'll see it on this side. I'll show you better. I'm cutting this upper layer. Remember I told you frogs breathe through their skin. So do you guys see this pink? So that's the dye. That shows you all the veining. You can see all the veining capillaries where the oxygen, the exchange of oxygen is there and getting into the blood for the frog to breathe. Okay, so that's what you'll see. If you want to later, you can deskin the entire frog if you want to. For now, we're focusing in this abdominal area. Now, speaking of abdomen, you can see this is a nice tough muscle layer. I always laugh that a frog looks like they have an 8-pack here. So he's got a nice tight belly with no fat here, so don't we wish we all had that? And we need to cut through that muscle layer to get to the organ. So we're gonna do a similar cut you've already done. Take the tip of your scissors, just gently kind of go in down here, down low, and then remember, lift as best you can and just do little cuts. Don't go too deep. So remember, we go in, pull up, cut, take your time. It's a little bit tougher here, so just take your time. If you hit something, just kind of go gentle. And then, if I didn't go enough, I can go back. Now you're gonna notice some liquid coming out. It's part of the preservative that they put the frog in before I sent it to your home. So I know it might seem gross, just let it get out of there if that's bothering you. So then come back here, so you're gonna have one cut up the belly from like here to below the mouth. And now we're gonna do 2 cuts across so we can open this up. So this is what I like to do. Take this little opening, cut it gently, not too deep, remember, and just whatever's comfortable how you cut with scissors. Just make little cuts. You can pull on the skin and cut, cut, cut. And it cuts pretty nicely. Remember to watch your fingers, don't cut yourself. And there, look at the veining here. Look, you can see the blue and the red veining in the skin. Lots of capillaries take in the blood around the body, their circulatory system. Okay, so back and forth. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Oh, this one's cool. You're gonna see some cool stuff here, guys. Hang in there. So now you're gonna cut on the same way on the other side. And if you have tweezers, you can use your tweezers, you can use your fingers. Whatever you like. Fingers actually sometimes work better. You can keep better control. God gave us the best tools of all, our hands. All right, ooh, we're seeing some cool stuff here. What do you guys see? You're seeing all sorts of neat stuff. If you want, cut your opening bigger so that you get a better view. Just put your stuff on your tray. I think I'm gonna go a little higher. Maybe I won't. It's kind of got a bone, well, yep. There we go. If you just kind of pry that open, I want to show you something in there. All right. So if you need more time, just pause the video, come back when you're ready. But I want you guys to see that we have 2 colored dye. You see the red, you see the blue again, and the red in here. But let's talk about some of these organs. What do you guys think this big organ is? There's 1, 2, 3 lobes. Anybody guess? It's the liver. The liver is one of the biggest organs in most animals, and this one is a 3-lobed liver. Now remember, our fish had a liver. Hopefully you remember some of the functions of the liver. Helps with digestion, it helps storage. There's a lot of things that I want you guys to know about that. So read about your liver. It's similar to how our liver works. That was a vein or an artery of some kind that was pulled out of there. Sorry, I'll show you where it's going. All right, so if you need to, we can, okay, so here, I think this little, let me see here. We're gonna go up here. I want to make sure I don't mess anything up. I want you guys to see. You might see some of this little film in here that's kind of in your way. You can get rid of that. You're just a little surgeon here today. So again, 1, 2, 3 lobes of the liver. This area is the heart, nice big. It's our first dissection with a good sized heart. In your book, you read that it is a 3-chambered heart. Do you guys remember in a fish, how many chambers did it have? Yes, it was a 2. This one's 3. Does anybody know how many humans have? 4-chambered hearts. So that's pretty cool. So here we have that. Now, if you move this lobe here a little bit, move your liver around, do you guys see this little organ? Can you see it all right? Ooh, Trying to hold it back. Okay, right here, that is the gallbladder. Remember, your fish had a gallbladder too. It's where they store bile, and it all has to do, ties in with helping with digestion. The bile is stored there. So that's that. If you really look, you can see the veins with the coloring, how everything is connected in here. Pretty cool. All right, so heart, liver, spleen. Now, if you pull that back, if you want, you can cut those out gently or just leave them there. This large part here is the stomach. So if you were to follow it, obviously he eats, the esophagus goes down and it fills the stomach. And what comes after the stomach? The intestine. So if you want, you can follow the train. If you're really motivated, you can actually pull it all out and see how long the trail is of intestine. So it follows here. It's all of this, just like you have massive intestine. Keep following it. So that's small intestine, you get to the large intestine, and then it goes out the anus. Okay, that's where the waste would be. So there's the digestion system. You can see the red in here. Oh, that's another organ. Right here there should be a pancreas right in here. I think it's this little skinny thing right in here should be the pancreas. Okay. That one's not as obvious. And then, ooh, down here, see this little guy? That's a spleen down there. These are called fat bodies. Interesting that frogs have that. These are called fat bodies. You might see them on both sides. If you opened your frog and it had a lot of black eggs, then you had a female. I don't see any eggs in mine, so remember I said I thought it was a boy, so that would make sense, okay? And if that's the case, a boy should have, I believe, I don't know if you can see, let me get rid of some of this liquid. Do you see this little wiggly? Well, let's see here. Right in here, I believe that is the male reproductive organ right in here, okay? But if you had eggs, they would be black. Usually the frog is loaded with black eggs. And if you had that, I want you guys to let me know. Did yours have it? Because I can't see your frogs today. Now, this is a very cool feature, one of my favorite things. Frogs, in their lifetime, have up to 4 different ways to breathe. So we already talked about the skin being a place where they breathe through their skin. I didn't talk about their mouth. Their mouth is a place where the layer of skin in their mouth is a place to get the gas transfer. Then when they're, remember frogs, when they're babies, they actually swim in the water. They have gills. But when they're an adult frog, their gills are gone and now they have lungs. So if you dig down here, do you guys see this? Oh, mine are kind of small. Sometimes they're rather large. It's kind of a spongy organ on both sides. So here's one of them. This one right here is 1 lung. And if you go on the other side, just like you have 2 lungs, so does a frog. There's the other one. There's the other one. Now, interesting, even though they have lungs, it is not their body's first choice of breathing. Skin is their number 1. I guess the lungs are its backup. So think about frogs. They can go in the water, they can live on land, they've got all kinds of ways. And so they can rely on their skin, but they've got these cool lungs. So play around with that, that's neat. All right, let's see. We've identified the heart as part of the circulatory system. We've identified the digestive system, a little bit of the reproductive system. What are we missing? Anybody else see anything I have missed? Those are the main interesting things. Found the spleen, we found the gallbladder. And then if you kind of go further down in there, you can find its backbone. I feel it down there. Remember, it's a bone. It goes down the dorsal side, but because we're going through its belly, it's on the other side. You can feel the backbone. One thing that you can also do on your frog, you can very easily take some more of the skin off and see the muscles in its legs. So we know most frogs are really good swimmers and really good jumpers. And so to have good muscles to do so is pretty important. I don't know if any of you guys are swimmers. Have you guys ever learned the frog kick? Or what they call the breaststroke? They kind of get that from how a frog swims. So if you do some of this, you can see the skin comes off pretty easily, and you can see, look at its quad. It's got a pretty hefty muscle there. So if you're wanting to go further and take some of the muscle out or even skin all of the leg, you can see that. In some countries, especially in France, eating frog legs is actually a delicacy. So if you've ever had a frog leg, obviously you can see there's lots of meat there. Not saying they use this particular species. There's lots and lots of different species of frogs. What else? So whatever else you think is interesting, I'd love to hear, but we have actually conquered the major organs. I hope you've thought that is quite interesting. I always think it is. And your comments are always welcome. All right, so you getting ready to clean up? All right, guys, so we have seen the frog. I hope you thought it was pretty interesting. I love that you have the two-tone dye in there so you could distinguish. And the organs are larger than anything we've seen so far, so they're pretty easy to find. Now, if you want to go further, and like I said, take all the systems out, line them up on your tray, kind of see where everything starts from mouth to the end, or any of the systems in there, please do. Enjoy it. This is your chance. One thing I was thinking on the stomach, if you want to take the stomach out, remember that is that kind of rounded sort of big U-shaped thing. Go ahead and cut it open. Maybe you'll see something interesting that your frog ate at its last meal. So it might be interesting. And you can see on the inside that the inside of the stomach has some ridges in the stomach, which helps for digestion. So that might be something you want to try. I hope you've had fun with the frog. It is kind of a cool lab, and can't wait to get with you again next week, and we venture into something else. So have a great day, and I'm out.
Ciao.
Ciao. All right, guys, great job. I hope you had fun with that. When you're ready and you're done, you can go ahead and do like we did last week. Go ahead and take your tools off your tray that you're going to keep. You're going to put your tray and your frog in your trash bag. You're going to take your gloves off inside out like we talked about, and you're going to hand wash and wash your area. So you guys know the program. Hope you had fun. I can't wait to hear all about it, and y'all have a great day. I'm out. Ciao.